Hello, this is Laura O'Brien, and I'm here with my colleague and friend and one of our teachers at the Irish Pagan School, Amy O'Riordan, otherwise known as the Crafty Cailleach, who teaches here on YouTube about Irish folklore and history. So we are going to talk about Irish folklore, New Year's customs. So obviously we did a lot with Irish witchcraft, Irish magic, paganism, folklore, folk traditions, all of that good stuff. And Amy has some amazing classes with us at the Irish Pagan School, as well as the teaching she does through her own channel and website. So today we're just going to look at a timely little piece on Irish New Year customs. As we are recording this, it is just before the new year. So you'll get it in time for the calendar new year. So welcome, Amy.
Thank you very much.
Amy has thoughtfully prepared some slides for us. So what is Hansel Monday? What's going on there?
So I would have grown up with kind of just a phrase of just Hansel. So it would often be said by my grandparents, like, "Oh, I'll Hansel you now," just means give a few bob, basically.
Mm.
So I just thought it was just some quirky little thing that my family says because we have quite a few weird little things that we say. So I just thought it was something my granny said. Because she'd be a follower of some pishogues and stuff as well.
Mm.
So but our superstitions, for anyone who doesn't know what a
Mm.
pishogue is, it's just a charm or superstition. So when I heard about Hansel Monday, I was like, all right, okay. So Hansel Monday is the first Monday of the new year, and it just so happens that this year, the 1st of January
A Monday.
is
Yeah.
falling on a Monday, yeah. So it's technically the first. So I suppose just this is from Dukas. I have a couple of different examples from Dukas because, as you know, and as anyone that's following your channel or done anything at the school will probably know, the folklore kind of changes
Mm.
depending on what part of the country that you're in. So there's a couple of different beliefs around this. So Hansel Monday, which is the first Monday of the year, one should never pay debts because it said you'll be paying debts for the whole year. So that's also something that comes in tandem with the first day of the year. So on the 1st of January, you're not supposed to give away any money. We the same on May Day or
Yeah.
Bealtaine,
Bealtaine, yeah. Yeah.
the 1st of May. And I haven't heard about it on the 1st of November on Samhain.
No,
Um,
no, it's
Not so much.
Bealtaine is specifically
Mm,
connected with the good luck and the bad luck, and I don't know, the Samhain traditions are different as we
yeah.
know, but yeah, this is particularly around the Bealtaine thing.
Yeah, exactly. So the Hansel Monday is when I would have heard it, it was always that you would give children some money.
Mm.
But I thought this was really interesting because Hansel Monday traditionally, the way I would have heard the folklore growing up, and also when I did a bit of research on this previously, I was finding that you give children a few bob, basically you Hansel them,
Mm.
give them a few bob into their hand. It can be spelled as well, Hansel, Handsel, or
Mm.
without the D as well.
Mm.
So you can, if you look on dukas.ie, you'll find you'll find them in both.
Mm.
But this one was really interesting from County Sligo that said the first Monday of the month you should never pay out for pay debt specifically in this one. And then I think in the next one as well it says if you get money on Hansel Monday you should keep it and you
Mm.
would have enough for the year then if you keep it. But if you give it, you should never give anything away on Hansel Monday unless you get paid in return.
Yeah.
Um, so this actually reminds me of something my granny was telling me a couple of years ago, where before my granddad passed away, once the clock struck 12 at midnight on New Year's, he'd just grab whatever coin he had in his pocket and he'd give it to her, and
Mm.
then she'd give it back to him. So that
Nice.
they basically
The
they kind of
flow.
got around the pay yeah, they
Yeah.
got around the fish hook, to basically make sure that they were okay for the year.
We would get a lot of questions around this at Bealtaine, and people get very
Mm,
panicked about because it's a similar tradition, as you said, on May Day.
mm,
And one of the suggestions that I've made, because we are a very commercial based society, and it is actually very difficult not to spend any money on anything. I mean, you don't know, is a bill going to come out, or is anything, so if you want to stick to this tradition, either for Bealtaine or for Hansel Monday, make sure that you check your upcoming automatic transfers or anything like
mm,
that. But also then one of the workarounds that I had was just use a credit card. Now I know not everybody has access to a credit card, but if you do, use a credit card because you're not actually spending your own money when you use a credit card,
That's a good
which
loophole.
is its own thing. But you're spending the bank's money, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
so it's a little kind of mental trickery workaround of people, and I'm only saying it because of the sheer volume of panic that we get. you know.
Yeah, yeah. I think it just if you can help it, like obviously as I said, like
Mm,
sometimes you might like like you need to spend money.
yeah,
But we could all do with spending less money as well.
absolutely, yeah.
And also, as it happens, the first, as it's happening this year, as I said, the 1st of January, at least in Ireland, it's a bank holiday, so direct debits usually don't, or
Yeah,
at
go
least,
out. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Um, another reference then that I found to it. It's Hansel Monday. People like to get presents on that day, which is interesting considering, like, again, this is Galway, so
Mm,
Sligo and Galway are like beside each other,
mm,
basically.
mm.
That in Galway, it's that you get presents. So to get a present, somebody has to be
Has to
giving
give
away
it.
a
Yeah,
present,
yeah.
So I just thought it was really interesting. And then the reference there to they liked a man to come in first. So that's that whole thing of having a dark-haired man be the first one in through the door
Hmm.
was to bring good luck. So what would happen, and I think I might have it in another reference that I took here as well, or that I have on the slides, that the man of the house would leave the house
Hmm.
and then come back in. Like
That's
he'd
how we
basically
always
leave.
did it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
always a workaround for these things.
Hmm.
Like,
Absolutely. And really, like what you're looking to do when you're following any of these old customs, like the intent is really what matters.
hmm,
So, um, maybe your granny and granddad were doing a form of this gifting, so it's not necessarily to avoid it, but it's to literally to give each other the look as well, because it would work the same. So
exactly.
if you're gifting somebody, maybe it is somebody that you want to give bounty to for the year. So maybe husbands and wives would gift each other, or parents and children, or whatever. So
Exactly.
it's a
Exactly.
flow to all
It
of
is
these
a flow.
things. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Um, and then this is the last one then on Hansel Monday. So again, just the name given to the first Monday of the new year. And if a person's lucky enough to get silver money on that day, it's said to get plenty of it and to spare
Hmm.
within the year. So again, yeah, it's just about like having that kind of abundant kind of flow into your life,
Hmm.
I suppose.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like growing up in Dublin, we would have had the term Hanseling as well.
Mm,
Not specifically around the New Year, if I remember correctly, but I was always told that it was an old Viking tradition,
interesting.
which when a new baby was born, you would give them a purse with some silver in it.
Hmm.
Or when somebody moved into a new house, and that was called Hanseling them. When somebody moved into a new house, you would give them bread, salt, and silver, as a Hansel, like literally as a present. Given that bounty. So, whether it's I mean, Waterford and Dublin, two Viking cities. So
Absolutely.
there's probably something in that. I haven't actually researched the history of it, but that's what I was always told anyway.
Very interesting. I haven't heard that now, but I get like that it was always
Mm,
Hanseling. It was
mm,
never specific to like Hansel Monday. It
mm.
was just I came across it, I think, last
Exactly.
year or
Yeah.
the year
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
but it was always just used as a verb, like I'll Hansel you now, like if
Same.
you're
Yeah.
after getting
Same.
your exam results or something and like
Hmm.
your granny'd be slipping you a fiver.
Yeah.
So yeah, so then I found while looking up just for the slides for today, I just came across another couple of curious bits and pieces. So as we were talking about Bealtaine there, this one is the first Monday of the year is known as Hansel Monday, and it's very lucky to get money on that day and very unlucky to have to part with it. It's very lucky to get a present of eggs, but to find eggs in your hay or to turn up eggs while digging or ploughing in your garden is a sign that some bad neighbor is trying to injure you
This
and
sounds
take your
familiar.
luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just thought this was really interesting. So you should, and then to prevent any bad luck, if you find an egg in your hay or on your property, you should burn it.
Hmm. Hmm.
To Yeah. So this is, as we were saying there at the start, like Bealtaine is very much like this happens at Bealtaine, like butter stealing at Bealtaine, like the witch or the Cailleach going out
Hmm.
and diverting the luck to
Absolutely.
themselves on Bealtaine Eve and being the first one to the well in the morning. So
Mhm.
this was just really interesting because I'd never heard of it to do with the New Year.
No, and I hadn't either. When I was writing my first book, my nana told me that her cousin down in Clare used to keep the eggs. Now, maybe there was something there. Maybe she was keeping eggs from the new year. But she kept eggs until they were rotten, absolutely rotten. And she would go and she'd walk the fields on May morning before anybody else got up. She'd go and steal the dew, the water, wash her face, and
Hmm.
then walk the neighbour's land. And then on the boundaries of the neighbour's land, she would break the eggs and mix it with the soil in the neighbour's land. So you wouldn't even have a chance of finding the eggs if that wagon
Yeah.
was after you. Like, so
That's
yeah.
a that's a good good method to do it. They
Mm,
definitely wouldn't find an
hmm.
egg.
And there was another one about like pieces of meat put into haystacks,
Mm,
and but it again, I always heard rotten eggs and rotten meat.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, for Beltnet, definitely. I did find one. Don't think I have it on the slides, but I did find a reference to tying a piece of meat up in the rafters of the house,
Oh,
and that would be left there for the year to dry out, and it was believed that it would have the cure in it.
okay.
And similarly doing like what I assume to be some type of partial cross, like two sticks
Mm,
made like into a cross. Similarly, that was also hung up in the house, in the rafters of the house, and would also have curative properties in it as well.
right.
So very as there's so much, there's
I
just so
wonder,
much on
like,
Dukas.
sympathetic magic wise,
Mm.
when you were saying at first about tying the meat, I hadn't heard of tying the meat in the rafters. Obviously, the crosses would be common to
Yeah,
a number of festivals, but as you were saying it, I was wondering, was it like drawn in the bad luck, taking away the bad luck from the house? Um, but that doesn't make sense then with it being a cure then after that.
yeah,
Unless taking away the bad luck in the house literally gave it the curative properties, like it gave
yeah.
it the power to it. I don't know. I'm always interested in like how, we talk about traditions and folklore and witchcraft and all the rest of it. And like these things made sense, and
Hmm.
this is where the kind of the magical tech of understanding sympathetic magic, understanding, the structures of magic through
Hmm.
various cultures, like will actually give you quite an insight into, okay, that's what they used to do. But like as modern witches or modern practitioners, we got to understand what's happening and why it was happening, not just, follow it by rote because it's, oh, Amy and
Yeah.
Laura told me that this is what we should be doing, think about it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like I was just very curious that I just came
Absolutely.
across these
Yeah.
ones,
Yeah.
because I'd never. I feel like every time I go on to do, because I find something that I
Oh,
either I thought I knew, and then
yeah.
they have a different version of it,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. And then one final one that is one that I also had never heard. On New Year's Day, the head of the house beats the door with a loaf of bread to drive hunger from the door for the year to follow,
Wow.
and then says Búlamíd Nagartha Amach, which just means we'll hit the
Hunger
hunger
out.
out.
Yeah.
Um, and I actually found I thought I put in an extra slide. There was another reference to this as well, I think in Limerick, in County Limerick, where it would be that the young people at the stroke of midnight would go around to all the houses, and this must be left over from the famine. Like it
Mhm.
has to be left over
Mm.
from the famine, where they would go around to every house and basically knock each house with a loaf of bread and like saying this Búlamíd Nagartha Amach.
That
So
is really interesting. And as well, like we have the Wren tradition on Stephen's Day as
yeah,
well, which nobody can tell me isn't old magical something. you know?
absolutely, yeah, definitely.
Um,
Um, but yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's a Shanukul which I've been using for years on Donas Amachus on Sonas Jock,
Mm,
and it's a similar, that's what it was reminding me of, so we obviously have this carried through. Sorry, for anybody who doesn't know, Shanukul just means old words, and it's
mm,
kind of like Irish proverbs basically. But when I'm looking at, you know, doing anything, whether it's a prayer, a ritual, a spell, anything like that, I'll always go to these old phrases, these old sayings, because they do carry weight and power. So that one is one I would use very regularly. Donas Amachus, Sonas Jock, because it's just so useful for anything from, I think, sweeping magic to, I think I reused it in the solstice class there that we did recently,
yeah.
because words have power and meaning,
Words
and
absolutely do.
so obviously our
Absolutely.
ancestors knew this.
Yeah, and I love the it's not a focus on just bringing in good. It's like
Mm,
you first of all you have to get the bad out
absolutely, yeah,
first.
absolutely. Get rid of the bad.
Yeah,
Oh, we need to sue our government, Amy.
I know.
Anyway, we just can't help ourselves. It always turns political. Right. Anyway, so Amy has amazing classes. There's hearth magic. There is, what else have we got? The introduction to the Irish language. If you're fascinated by the use of the Irish language, we have a whole
Mm.
long class that is an introduction to the Irish language, which will give you the grammar and all the vocabulary that you would need, but has a particular focus on giving you confidence to use the Irish language as part of your spiritual and magical practice, which makes it a unique course. I've never seen that anywhere else online, certainly. We have a class on the widow's curse. There's another video on this channel about the widow's curse. It was the topic of Amy's thesis. We have one on using the archives. We have one on Irish handcrafting and one on hearth magic. So Irish folk customs and magic tradition in the hearth and home, which is a lovely one for the winter if people want to take that up, definitely. But Amy, you're an amazing resource,
Thank you.
fantastic teacher, and we're very, very honoured to have you as part of the Irish Pagan School. So all of Amy's links will be below. There's a link to her Ko-fi, so you can buy her a coffee or get her thesis because that's there too. If you want to have a look further into the Widow's Curse, obviously you can take that class as well. We have all of her classes at the Irish Pagan School linked below and her YouTube channel as well. So thanks for that, Amy, for doing the research and coming on and having the chat.
Fiber bit, and I will eventually get to upload more YouTube videos. I think I was saying to you the other day, I've only uploaded 5 so far this year, and I'm
That's
like,
okay. That's okay. You were
it
busy.
is, but
You were busy.
I was very busy in
Mm-hmm.
fairness. But yeah, so
You're
if
busy.
anyone is wondering where I've been, I've just been recovering from that.
Yeah. However, the material that is up on your YouTube channel currently is a whole it's a whole course in itself. Like there's some
Yeah.
really fascinating stuff up there on Irish folklore, history, heritage, women's history, social history, all of that. So if you want to learn more about Ireland generally, there's even baking and crafting and all sorts of really cool stuff. So a fantastic resource. Whether you're uploading new videos or not, there's a lot there to be getting on with, I think, for people.
That's fair. That's fair. Thanks,
Okay,
Laura.
so slán, Amy, and I'm sure we'll collaborate again.
100%.
Yeah.
Slán.